As a video editor with over 20 years experience, I can tell you that visuals are 50% of the battle to your final project. The other 50% is usually driven by audio to enhance the emotion within a story. We've seen some of the AI tools available to us in Premiere Pro for enhancing the quality of audio within our timeline. And another tool that is extremely handy is the ability to take any music track and remix it to a desired length. Here in my chapter 1.6 sequence, it just so happens that we have a music track that's a lot longer than the visuals within our timeline that is just shy of 30 seconds. I'm going to click the backslash key so that we can see a better view of the overall timeline and the very long music track. We could, of course, fade out the audio using these newly built fade out handles. Let's try to remix this instead. There are a few different options that we can do to do this. One is directly from the Essential Sound panel that we've been working in. I'm actually going to toggle up the ducking section of this panel. And just notice above it is the duration section, which we'll enable. And here we could choose to remix our audio to a specific duration. Right now it's set at 35 seconds, which is why it changed. I'll choose remix. And let's just choose a target duration of 29 seconds and 13 frames by pressing period 13 for frames. And once we click on enter, Remix will get to work and make changes to our music track. One thing to note is that in the last movie, we generated keyframes to duck this music track against our VO, and now these are all thrown off. We can go back to ducking where we made these changes, and with our newly remixed track, just generate keyframes to shift them to where our dialogue now is located in relation to the remix track. The other thing to note is these squiggly lines represent segments within our music track, and that's where it's remixed it. Let's give this a playback.
In 2022, I was granted the experience of a lifetime. I landed in Iceland.
If you're unhappy with the way the segments transition from one part of the track to the other, we could head to the duration section of the Essential Sound and open up Customize, where we can increase or decrease the amount of segments in our audio clip. So in this case, I will make it 4 segments in total. We could also change the amount of variations as well. And accordingly, it will change where these segments are located, but it might make our newly remixed audio track longer or shorter to fit. Now, last but not least, using Essential Sound and the remix option is also very helpful with another section of Essential Sound, which is the Browse tab. This leads us to Adobe Stock and a ton of different audio tracks that we can license for our Premiere Pro projects. In this particular case, where I'm now on the Music tab, I'll just type in the word electronic, because that's the type of music that I'm looking for. And so that we can preview this back without the existing music source here in the timeline, I'm going to mute that. And when I press play on one of these tracks, and since timeline sync is enabled, it will play from exactly where my playhead is located. So if I decide to move the playhead to the beginning of the timeline,
In 2020,
we'll start the playback from there. But if I choose another track and start from this 3-second and 11 frame duration,
in 2022,
if I now play another clip, it will go back to where my playhead was originally located. Since I like this first clip better, I can always audition it. I'll bring it into my timeline here on the A3 track, press the backslash key, seeing that it's also way too long for this project.
in 2022, I was granted the experience of a lifetime.
And in order to remix this to match the length of my video clips, this time in my toolbar, I'll click on the third tool in the stack and choose Remix while holding down. Then choose the end of the audio on the A3 track, dragging it into where the video ends. The audio will be analyzed, press the backslash key, and remixed to that specified location with this tool. I'll just press the spacebar to play this back from the beginning now.
In 2022, I was granted the experience of a lifetime. I landed in Iceland and was able to.
As we can see, this music does overpower the dialogue. And once we've licensed it, we can still use the ducking feature within Essential Sound in order to perfect this remixed audio. And that's how we can take advantage of AI-driven remixed music inside of Adobe Premiere Pro.